What does the executor or personal representative under my will do? My name is Andrew Heirs. I'm an estate planning and business law attorney, and today we're going to talk about what does that executor or personal representative do under your will. Basically, when you die, there's somebody who's appointed as the personal representative for your estate. Now, there's two ways this can happen. The first way is under your will, and this is a very simplified process. It's one of the main terms of your will, and that is who is the personal representative, who is the executor for your estate. That person's job then is to round up your documents. They get your death certificate and the will to the courthouse, and they let the court know that they're the point person in charge of your estate. They then have to get the assets together. They have to contact all of your relatives, give them notice that you've died, and then start the process of distributing your estate. If you've created a trust, whether revocable or irrevocable, or a trust for your children, their job is to make sure that the right assets go to the right place and get those assets into the trust. It's a lot of paperwork to make sure everything is signed over to the right place. So you want to make sure when you're creating a will that the person you choose to be the personal representative or your executor is a very responsible person who's comfortable with paperwork. Their job is simply to follow the terms of your will, but that can take a lot of time and can be very intensive. Now, the second way that somebody can be appointed as the personal representative is if you don't have a will, and this is going to be the worst case scenario. So if you die and you don't have a will, the court has no idea who should be in charge of your estate, who should be rounding everyone up, who should be contacting your relatives, who should be contacting your banks, who should be looking after your assets. Even scariest, who should be making sure your children are protected and given to the right person. This is one of the most important reasons why you need to have an estate plan. You need to have a will with the right person appointed to make sure that they can effectuate what's in your will and what you want to have happen. So if you don't have that and you've died, then the next step is, what do we do? Somebody, and there's no necessarily legal person who has to do it, but somebody has to open an estate and say that John Smith has died and we need to distribute his assets. Now you may be thinking, I'm not going to have a lot of money when I die, so it's not a big deal. Do you know who can open the estate? Your creditors. So if you have credit cards and you die and it's been a couple months and your credit card balances go up and you're not making your payments because you're gone, the credit card company will eventually do a little research and find out you're deceased. And if your family hasn't opened an estate, the credit card company may then open an estate so that they can be paid out of whatever's left of your estate, whatever assets you have left behind. You don't want your creditors to be the people who open the estate. You want it to be your family members. The creditors open the estate, and now the court has to figure out where are your relatives and who should be the executor, and maybe they appoint your brother who's terrible with paperwork, or they appoint your sister who lives in another country and wants nothing to do with any of this. And now you're stuck with people who don't want to be involved, and they're fighting credit card companies over an old American Express bill from a couple years ago or an old Target card that you hadn't paid off, all because you didn't spend a little bit of time to create a will, create a basic estate plan, and appoint a personal representative, an executor, somebody to take care of your estate when you're gone. Now, if you're still listening to this video and you don't have an estate plan, let's set up a conversation. Let's get started. Go to my website, andrewmheirs.com, and on the front page is a red button that says schedule a consultation. Hit that button and you'll be taken to my personal calendar. We could set up a complimentary legal strategy session to go over what an estate plan is, what the basic documents are, and why it's important for you. You don't want to leave behind your assets with nobody appointed as the executor or the personal representative. If you do, all you're leaving is a long court fight, and chances are your family member is going to be dragged into a fight with your creditors, and that's going to leave a bitter taste in everyone's mouth.